Hello, I'm Congressmember Judy Chu. As the chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, or what we call CAPAC, I'm so honored to be a part of such an important conversation. And I'd like to thank your CEO, Tara Peterson, on her years of dedication to the YWCA and her leadership in getting the YWCA Glendale through this difficult year. I look forward to seeing what an incredible job you will do moving forward. Conversations like the one we are having today are essential for understanding how we can work together to stop hate crimes and ensure that all communities, and particularly vulnerable communities of color, are safe. And this is a conversation that more and more communities are having as we grapple with our country's history of institutional racism and the ongoing problem of police brutality and anti-Asian hate crimes today. And so I especially want to thank the YWCA for organizing this event and all of you for joining. Last month, our nation was shocked and horrified by the murder of 8 people in Georgia, including 6 Asian women. In response, I organized a congressional delegation to Atlanta to be with the AAPI community during this difficult time and meet with the victims' families. And we went there with a purpose: to follow the murderer's steps to show how deliberate he was in targeting 3 Asian-owned spas. Starting at the site of the first shooting, named Young's Asian Massage, we then drove 27 miles, as the shooter did, until we arrived at 2 more Asian spas that were next to each other, where he continued his murderous spree. Local sheriffs have tried to diminish these crimes by saying the shooter had a sex addiction and a bad day. But he had plenty of other places to go in those 27 miles. Instead, he chose 3 places where there would be no doubt that Asian women would be killed, and that is why there's no doubt in my mind that these shootings were a hate crime. And I've written a letter to the Department of Justice urging them to investigate it as such. Nothing could be more deliberate and intentional. The shooter's actions shouted hate when he targeted these locations. But sadly, this was not an isolated incident. Since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, there have been over 3,800 reported anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents, over 2/3 of which targeted women. They were fueled by Donald Trump's usage of the terms China virus, Wuhan virus, and Kung flu, fanning the flames of xenophobia and directing anger and blame at Asian Americans. And these attacks have gotten worse over the course of the pandemic, with increasingly violent assaults, some fatal, targeting older and more vulnerable Asian Americans. In fact, these anti-Asian hate crimes almost have become a daily tragedy, leaving many Asian Americans wondering, will I be next? That is why we in the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus have been taking action all year with press conferences, statements, letters, and legislation. And fortunately, we have already gotten help from an important partner, and that is President Biden. Within his first week in office, President Biden issued a presidential memorandum to address anti-Asian hate that instructs the Department of Justice to work with the AAPI community in finding solutions to combating anti-Asian hate and bias. And earlier this month, the president invited me and other AAPI Congress members to join him in the White House to discuss additional actions that he is taking to address anti-Asian hate and to keep our communities safe. Having the meeting with the president right in the Oval Office shows just how seriously he's taking this problem. And then another critically important thing happened last week. It was the Senate's passage of Senator Mazie Hirono's and Congresswoman Grace Meng's COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. This bill would create a new position at the Department of Justice to help improve hate crime reporting, and it also includes the text of my bill, the No Hate Act, which will provide resources to state and local law enforcement to improve hate crimes reporting, tracking, and enforcement. The overwhelming 94-1 vote was an almost unheard of show of bipartisan support, showing dramatically that AAPIs are not alone in the fight against Asian hate. Because of this vote, we expect that during Asian Pacific Heritage Month, this will pass out of the House and then go to the President's desk to be signed into law. And I especially want to thank the YWCA for urging support of this critical legislation. Your work has helped make this possible. There are many steps we can take, but let me tell you what the most powerful one is. It is to come together, no matter our backgrounds, united in speaking out against hate and targeting any community and addressing systemic racism in our nation. And that is why today's discussion means so much to me. We cannot do this alone. So thank you for hosting today's event and to all of you for taking part.